Good morning. Happy Tuesday. I am so glad to have you here. We're going to spend the next half hour or so talking about how we plan our content for the month of February. And we're also going to look at what type of events might make sense to host for your business as well. So hop on in here, join me. If you don't have a copy of the February planning content or February planning calendar yet, you can get that through the link in the notes here. So grab that link if you need it, download it. It'll email to you in just a minute or two, so you won't even be behind. So hopefully you're here with us live. If not, if you're watching on the replay, thank you for joining us. Make sure you leave any questions or comments that you have, and I will go through them and review and answer any questions that you might have and bring up today. So I'm Rachel Lindhagen. I'm the president and founder of Etched Marketing. We're based here in Phoenix, Arizona. I have been in marketing for right about 20 years, and I'm really excited to introduce you to a marketing concept or strategy that works really, really well for small businesses. This is something that I have used in numerous positions with different companies, different clients over the years, and it's something that when you are a small business, you can really leverage and do a lot with these type special events. And then we want to not only host these type special events in our stores or celebrate these days on our websites for more online businesses versus a traditional brick and mortar. So super excited to bring this to you. If you notice me like peeking down once in a while, it's because I'm taking a look at my notes. I want to make sure that I'm covering everything that's important, and I also want to be really aware of the time. I hate when people have lives and they have no structure and they just kind of are random word of mouth, stream of consciousness. So I really value your time, and I am very appreciative of the fact that you're spending it with me today. So I don't want to waste it for you. So if you see me look down, that's why. So a little bit about why we want to build this type event and build this type engagement. It's because we want to help connect with our customers. And when we find these fun events or days, we host them, it gives us something else to talk about. It lets us be authentic, and it helps build what we in the online world refer to as the know, like, and trust factors. Before someone is going to buy from you or come to your business or become a loyal customer, they have to know who you are. So you have to find a way to get your message out in front of them. Before they're going to start buying or being involved with you, they need to like you. So they have to not only know who you are, but they have to get to like you. And the way that they get to like you is by interacting with you. And sometimes these fun events or these fun days, celebrations can really help that like factor because it shows a little more of your personality. It lets them understand a little bit about what's going on behind the scenes. And then trust. Trust is the most important here. When people trust a business, or they trust a person, that's key to success. So we're going to talk a bit about how we build our know, like, and trust factors. And these are important for both online and offline businesses. You do not have to be just an online business to have know, like, and trust be important. I think it's important for every business. So I would love it if you would share a little bit about your business, what it is that you're doing, and who your audience is. So tell me a little bit about who you are, what you do for your business, so that I can hopefully help customize some of our examples today and talk about things that will be really relevant and applicable to you. If you're on the replay, please go ahead and note anyway. I'd love to know who's watching so that I can work on customizing future information for you. I try really hard to make sure that what I'm preparing is helpful to everyone. If you've been following the blog, you know that helpful is my term for 2018. I want everything that I do to be helpful to my customer base. So starting point, before we get into planning our events, we need to talk a little bit about our target audience. And if you have your target audience completely defined, you know exactly who you're trying to reach, you know where they spend their time, you know what they do for fun, what social channels they're on, that is fantastic. not everybody has that same amount of information about their target customer. So we're going to talk a little bit about who are you trying to reach? What's their biggest pain point today? Is there something that they want from your business? What can you do to help them solve their pain point? And then more importantly, what are they really focused on this month or right now? Because sometimes what we want to help them with is not what they're interested in at the moment, and we need to pay attention to that as well. That's really why understanding who our customer is, what they need, what information they're interested in helps us so much. So in order to plan our content or our events, we need to think about how much do we need to create total. So do you send an email? If so, how frequently do you email? Do you do it daily? Do you do it weekly? Do you do one email a month? So jot down whether or not you do email and how many emails a month. Do you post on social media? Now jot down which channels and jot down how frequently you post. Do you post your blog? Again, how often? And then once you look at that, that's going to give you a good idea of how much content you need to have total. So you know how many blog posts you need to do, how many emails you need to do, and how frequently you need to post on social. Now, if you have not paid attention or you're not aware of what's happened with Facebook and the algorithm update, you may want to reconsider how frequently you're posting on Facebook and what type posts you're sharing. If you're not sure what you should be doing, I have a blog post that I just published along with a video yesterday talking about what you need to do for Facebook. Actually, the video was Friday, sorry. Yesterday's was about SEO. A video from Friday talking about what you need to do for Facebook given the algorithm changes in order to maintain your visibility. So make sure you take a look at that if you're not quite sure what to do for your Facebook strategy for this month. This information helps you determine exactly what you need to create for the month. So now you know how much content. Now I want you to think about other content. Are there things that you are going to share in addition to your own content? It is definitely advised that you share information that is relevant to your audience that could be from another vendor, another blogger, somebody who is maybe not necessarily a competitor, but somebody who maybe they have a different audience, but they have a message that would be really useful and really helpful for your audience. Those are the type of things that you want to share. If you are running promotions or specials this month, you also want to think about that. What type of promotions are you going to offer? How frequently are you going to post them? Do you need to create content to support them, etc.? All those things are going to go into your planning. Let me know, are there any special offers or promotions that you are planning for the month of February that you're trying to figure out how to market? Is there something that you want to run a promotion for and you're not sure how far ahead to do it or what to do? Let me know any of those type of questions, because they're things that I can certainly address in our weekly trainings, and they're things that I can help address in blog posts as well. So I'd love to know what questions you have, what you're trying to figure out about your promotions. Now, once you know who we're trying to target, what content we need to create, what content we want to share from other people, and what promotions or specials you want to have, what products you want to promote this year, this month, etc. All that information is going to come together to help you figure out what you're doing from a marketing perspective. So what I want to teach you about today is something called the National Days Calendar, and you can access it on the website. It's just nationaldayscalendar.com. Each month, they give us information on days, weeks, and monthly themes, things that are national celebrations for the month. So the content guide or the marketing planning guide that you can download has that information. The ones that I figured were probably the most applicable for our audiences, I kind of picked and chose enough that would fit in the guide, but would also probably be great conversation starters for my students, my audience. I've used this many, many times over the years. One of the best examples was when I was with Pump It Up. And Pump It Up is a franchise organization based here in Phoenix, and I was in the corporate office as the marketing manager. And we had about 175 stores across the country, so it was all small business owners, all franchisees who were trying to build their business, and we were targeting parents with young children, and we were targeting working parents because our main product were our birthday parties. But we had all these non-prime time slots that we needed to fill, things like the daytime while kids were in school. So we started looking at what could we do to build up our weekday business or our day part business. And this is where National Days Calendar came in really handy and worked very, very well for us. We searched out days or themes that tied to the business. So things that were related to birthdays, to friends, to jumping, to having fun, to children, to socks, etc. And we found all of the ideas that we felt related really closely to the business. And we actually did it for the full year. So we pulled everything out so that we knew, and that way we could get ahead of the situation. We could have our graphic designer work on creating the items, the franchise owners could promote them in advance, etc. So for us, we used days like Crazy Sock Day, because at Pump It Up, you have to wear socks to play. And why not have a crazy fun sock day? Everybody wear the craziest socks that they can find, and then maybe the franchise owner would do a contest and they would vote on who had the craziest socks, and then maybe the person who won got a free pass to come back in for an open public bounce time, something like that. We also did Best Friends Day, we did National Ice Cream Day, we did Ice Cream Sundae Day, Brownie Day, things like that where they could come, they could jump, they could have fun, and then maybe we could use the party room afterwards to do a little bit of a snack that made it something fun and different and special for the kids. These are great ways to tie those dates into events at your restaurant, your store, your location, whatever it is, if you have a brick and mortar. Now, when we go through this, we'll talk about a few examples and things that could potentially work for brick and mortar. With online only businesses, it's a little different because we can't invite people in for those events, but we can do a behind the scenes. We can do a live video. We can potentially share images of something we're working on. We can share gifts that are tied to that event or day. We can share recipes. We can create blog posts. There's a lot that we can do. So don't feel like I'm online only. I don't know how to do this. This relates to both types of businesses. So I want to walk you through a quick example. Last month I talked about the holiday egg dish. This month I want to talk about using content in a slightly more promotional way. So same client, they are a home goods retail store. They have 300 or 400 locations across the country. Fantastic client. I loved working with them. I worked with them for 3 or 4 years at my old agency and absolutely loved the team. They were focused on women ages 30 to 50 who had homes. They were generally the hostess. They wanted to create this beautiful, welcoming environment. Most of them worked. They had time commitments, things like that. So they needed things that were quick. They needed directions that were step by step. They needed things that they could do easy, not a big investment, and things that would really make a difference in their home. One of the posts that we did was how to create a gallery wall, because people want gallery walls in their homes. I know I personally have one and I love it. Every time, my whole staircase has this huge gallery wall. It's got 20 or 30 photos of my family and I love it. And I'm probably not alone. I know a lot of people have gallery walls in their homes. They're very much on trend right now, and it's just that beautiful way to remember all those special moments in our lives. So gallery walls are super popular. So we sat down and thought, okay, how do we help our client? We're going to create a step-by-step guide to that gallery wall. So we went ahead and wrote a blog post all about how to create a gallery wall. And we talked about how you choose whether you're going to do color or black and white photos. We talked about how you choose what type of frame you want to use. Do you want to use all the same frame, or do you want to use different frames? Do you want to use all the same color? Do you want to use different colors to bring pops to it? All of those things that you need to think about. And then we provided a few sample layouts for inspiration. In those pictures, they were mocked up in the client's design studio, and they were beautiful photos of gallery walls that they had taken that happened to have their picture frames, their products in them. But it wasn't, hi, come buy our picture frames and create a gallery wall. It was, here, this is how you create a gallery wall because we know you're interested in this. Let us show you what you do and how you make it work. That's how content can be really helpful, and that's how we kind of tie it to our customers' needs. We stay focused on them, not on us. But in the end, because we're providing something that's so helpful, they're searching for it, they're reading it, then they're becoming familiar with us. So if they were not familiar with the client before, which is highly unlikely given how large they were, if they were not familiar with the client prior to that, then they were able to know who they were. They were able to find them because we also ranked really, really well for search engine optimization. We ranked number one for just about everything we went after. Then, because they found this information helpful and they liked the style that it was written in because it was focused on them and their needs, they started to not only know who we were, who the client was, but now they started to like them. And when they liked them, they started to follow them on Facebook. They started to read the blog. They started to then trust them because they knew that when they wrote something, it was going to be helpful and it was going to be something that they were going to be interested in. We ended up with over 1 million followers on Facebook. We had over 1 million visitors a month through natural search. I mean, we really, because we stayed so focused on what our customer needed and providing value, we saw great results. That's what I want you to be able to do as a small business owner. Now, maybe you won't get 1 million visits a month. I don't get 1 million visits a month. I've done this for years for clients, and I can promise you I'm not getting 1 million visits a month. Maybe someday. I'd love it. It would be amazing. But I am ranking number one for some really important keywords because I focus on my customer, I focus on what they need, and I create great content on a consistent basis. Those are my 3 biggest keys from an SEO standpoint. Now, we've talked about our examples. We've talked about how we do this. Let's go ahead and jump into some ideas for the month of February, some things that could potentially work for you for your business. So February is National Heart Month. It's National Grapefruit Month, National Weddings Month, Macadamia Nut Month, Library Lovers Month, and Snack Food Month. So I'm going to walk through a couple examples here that I think will apply. I'm going to use National Weddings Month because I know I've got several people from the wedding industry who generally catch these on replay, and I want to make sure, since we have such a great opportunity for them, I want to tie it to their particular businesses so it can help them. So for National Wedding Month, let's say you're a makeup artist. You could provide tips for brides. You could show eye makeup. You could talk about how to have makeup that lasts all day through all the photo shoots, through all the ceremony. Are long-lasting lipsticks really worth it? You could talk about bridal party makeup tips. You could talk about tips for the mother of the bride, how to make her feel beautiful, how to make sure all the women there feel beautiful, but nobody upstages the bride. You could also share some of your favorite photos from the past, from your brides and your wedding makeup looks that you've really enjoyed creating. You could take this a step further. It doesn't have to be the makeup artist. If you are anyone who works within the bridal industry, you could use this for bridal salons, for bakers, photographers, other vendors, candy buffets. I'm trying to think who I used as vendors when I got married a few years ago. But anybody who focuses on the bridal industry should be celebrating National Weddings Month in February. Now, if you're a retailer, maybe you don't focus on the bridal industry. However, you could be a jeweler. You could have a local store that's got beautiful gifts. You could focus on it by celebrating people who are recently engaged. You could talk about your wedding rings, your specials, your things of that nature. You can tie these, if it makes sense for your business, tie them to your business. Tie them in and help people understand and see and make interesting conversations, host fun events, do all sorts of things. Let's also play with National Snack Food Month because I think this is one that anybody can do. It doesn't matter what your business is, you can do something fun for National Snack Food Month. You can ask people what their favorite snack food is. You can ask them you can do a vote or do a poll between salty and sweet, which is your preference. You can ask people to share a recipe for their favorite thing. You can create a recipe for snack food. If you have, say that Chex Mix is a favorite thing at your house or in your office, you can talk about that. You can talk about what type snacks. Maybe you make all homemade snacks. Maybe you buy snacks, whatever. There's a lot that you can do there and you can play with and have fun with. If you are in a library, it is National Library Lovers Month. So there's a lot that you can do there for your local library. So anyone who is associated with or affiliated with a local library, take note, February is your month. Now we're going to move into weekly celebrations. One of the things I want to think about as we move into weekly celebrations is also, where is our audience this month? So in the month of January, when we talked about this last month, everybody was really focused on resolutions. They were focused on New Year's, getting into shape again, getting through the holidays, all of that. In most instances, that stuff's gone. People are over it. Now we're into February, or we'll be into February next week. And we are, sorry, my whole computer just froze on me. I wasn't active enough, apparently. From here, for the month of February, people are going to be focusing on Valentine's Day. They're focused on love. In some parts of the country, it is still winter and miserable and freezing cold and snowed in and all those kind of things. I happen to be in Phoenix, where we whine about being chilly when it's 55 degrees because we're a bunch of wimps. So we're whining today because it's chilly and it's like 55 out. I grew up in Iowa, so I know what real cold is. So this is not, but we're still chilly. Think about your audience. Think about what they're focused on, especially months like February, where there's so much focus on love and relationships, and people are either really enjoying it and happy to be in a relationship and want to celebrate and shout from the rooftops, or maybe they're not so happy about their relationship or they don't have one. Maybe they're single and they're frustrated by that fact, etc. So keep those overall monthly themes and ideas in mind as you're creating your content and your events, and try to see who's your audience and how do you really relate to them. So weekly celebrations for the month of February, U.S. Snow Sculpting Week. Now, this is a really fun one, especially if you're somewhere like the upper Midwest, where you are just getting pounded with snow at the moment. I know the St. Paul Snow Sculpting Festival is just going on, or just happened over the weekend, because I had several friends who went to it, and the pictures are amazing. So some things like that. If you're in a location that has a lot of snow, maybe you encourage people to sculpt something out of snow. Maybe you have them submit pictures online. Maybe you host an event, especially if you focus on kids or families. Maybe you host an event and people come to do snow sculpting in person at the store, and maybe you celebrate afterwards, like with cocoa, something to help them warm up. Solo Diners Eat Out Week is right before Valentine's Day, the first week of February. So this is a great one for our local restaurants, our retailers, frozen yogurt places, bakeries, etc. Encourage people to come in, to join in. If you have one of those big community tables that are becoming very popular, maybe you could use that to try to host an event or do something to encourage people to come in and make a new friend. You know, it's solo diners, but come in and meet somebody new, make a new friend, maybe offer a special discount if people are coming on their own, something like that, to really encourage them to come in and be part of what's going on. You could also, if you maybe have products that you sell that tie to food preparation, you could do blog posts with tips and tricks for cooking for one. I know when I was single, that was one of the biggest frustrations, and a lot of things that we talked about was just not wanting to really bother to cook because it was just one person and it felt like it was kind of silly to cook for just one. So that could be something you could do also, or some easy recipes that would work for one person. Maybe it's make two and have one left over the next night so you don't have to cook, or take it for lunch, or reuse something in another way. Again, providing that value and that help that's going to address what people are doing right now is going to be more intriguing for them. Just say no to PowerPoint week. Who has worked in an office wouldn't love to just tell PowerPoint, bye-bye? So that could be a really fun week for coaches, trainers, education companies, small businesses. Like, just put the PowerPoint down, back away, and enjoy your week. Just say no. I would love that. I am knee deep in PowerPoints for training courses, and I would love to walk away. Maybe by the time we hit Say No to PowerPoint week, I can do that. And then Boy Scout Anniversary Week is also coming up in February. Again, if you have a business, whether online or offline, that focuses on school-age children, Boy Scouts, you partner with them, you do something with them, this is a great opportunity to really celebrate that. Create events that are geared towards it. Ask people to share their pictures of themselves when they were Boy Scouts. Ask them to share pictures, maybe not pictures of their kids, because there's a lot of concern with people about sharing pictures of their children, but maybe their favorite story from Boy Scouts, their favorite memory, their favorite event or outing. Maybe you could write a blog post about your own experiences with it. If you sell products that are sanctioned by the Boy Scout Association, you could write a blog post and talk about what's new or what's coming or what's changed. There's so much that you can do. And finally, we're going to jump into the days. And there are some fun days in the month of February. So I pulled out a few of them that I think will be applicable for you. February 2nd is Groundhog Day. And if you are in a cold climate, you know how important this day is. I remember as a child, like even teenager, waiting to hear, did Punxsutawney Phil see his shadow or not? Were we going to be spared from 6 more weeks of winter, or was it going to just keep being freezing cold? These are things that people are focused on because it's kind of fun. It lets us walk away from the craziness. So maybe you could ask people to share their memories of it. You could share a GIF of the groundhog. You could do a poll ahead of time to ask people if they feel like, is he going to see his shadow or not? Find out who's right. You could share the video when they show him. There's so much that you could do here just for fun. I'm not saying there's probably a lot you can tie to your business unless you happen to have a groundhog product. I know one of my followers is a gal. She's a custom artist and she does a greeting card line. And I know she does a lot of animals. I don't think she does groundhogs. I know she does hedgehogs. But if you were to happen to have a product like that had a groundhog, that would be a great thing to use to celebrate Groundhog's Day as well. National Homemade Soup Day is February 4th. This is a really good one if you are potentially somebody who has a restaurant. You could create a special homemade soup that you could offer in your restaurant on that day. You could even offer it to go, so it's something that they could come in and pick up from you and take home so they could celebrate without actually having to do the work. If you are a retailer who sells products, again, soup spoons, ladles, bowls, crock pots, whatever, then you could potentially create a blog post about National Soup Day and you could share some of your products that are for it, or just engage in a conversation. Ask your readers to share their favorite soup recipes, especially if you're somewhere where it's really cold and soup sounds really good to people because it's cold and it's winter and it's something that you can leave on the stove for hours and cook, or you can do in the crock pot. Everybody likes soup in the winter. It's perfect. February 8th is National Iowa Day. And I'm just going to throw this in here because I grew up in Iowa. And what I want you to think about is, well, Iowa Day may not apply to you. It totally applies to me. If it doesn't apply to you, there's probably a day for the state that you grew up in or the state that you live in. And this is where you can have fun with it. Go through the calendar, take a look at it, take a note, and figure out where your day is, and then start to plan. So if you are any way related to Iowa, you could ask people if they're a Hawkeye or a Cyclone. You're never both. You're either a Hawkeye or a Cyclone. And every state has that. Here in Arizona, it's are you a Sun Devil or a Wildcat? Like, everybody's got that college football rivalry. So ask them about the rivalries. Share a GIF or a post, especially if you're upper Midwest where it's freezing cold, about Iowa winters. Share something weather related or something fun. Ask people to share their favorite childhood memories. Share recipes that are specific to that area. So for Iowa Day, I might suggest sharing a recipe for monster cookies, because we had monster cookies at almost every function we went to as children. But here in Arizona, I've not seen them anywhere. So these are the type things that you can use when you have that celebration day for your state. And like I said, Iowa Day may not apply to you today, but there are things that you can do for your state's day. And then we've got a couple bigger ones coming up. February 13th is Mardi Gras, Fat Tuesday. So if you have anything to do with Mardi Gras celebrations, New Orleans, you could have a Mardi Gras event. You could do any kind of party event, celebration, something fun. There's a lot you could do there. The 14th obviously is Valentine's Day. the 22nd is Margarita Day. The 24th is National Tortilla Chip Day. And I'm now hungry for Mexican food for lunch. Anyone else? These are all the type things that are in the National Day calendar. And like I said, they're not going to all apply to every single business, but there is something that should be applicable for everybody if you go through the information and look at it and just start to think about, who is my audience? What are they interested in right now? What are their needs? And then how do I tie that to my business? And how do I do it in a non-sleazy, non-salesy way? Because by providing that value and that information that they really want, they're going to get to know you. They're going to start to like you, and they're going to start to trust you. And once you've built that trust, you can build that loyal customer relationship. And that loyal customer relationship is worth so much. So just a couple more pro tips for you from a content planning standpoint. Really think about who you're targeting, where you're posting content, and make sure that you're creating the right type content for the channel. So in some channels, video works much better than text. Sometimes it's an image, sometimes it's a GIF. So really think about which channel are you using and which format of content you should use for that messaging. Create custom images and graphics for each channel. So don't just share the same thing across every channel, because you need to be able to give people some value and they need to be able to understand and see something different. You want to have a cohesive look across channels, but you don't want to share the same exact thing every time, because if you share the same exact thing every time, it's going to be boring. They're going to feel like they've already seen it because they have. Increase your engagement by asking for genuine engagement from your audience. So build in those specific parts where you can stop and ask them to comment. You can find out what they're interested in. You can ask them a little bit about their business, their needs, their questions, their favorite recipes, etc. We've given a lot of those type examples. So ask for engagement. Engagement is really important. Use video. We see huge jumps in engagement with video. I know I personally can get 100% or better reach if I do a video versus if I just share a blog post update, it's about 25 to 50% reach. So that video performs so much better for me than anything else right now. And my engagement numbers are strong given the Facebook algorithm. A lot of small business owners are only seeing like a 10% reach. So if you are struggling with reach, there are things that you can do to boost your engagement. Take a look at what the people you're seeing in your newsfeed are doing and learn from them and read up on it and ask questions. Like I said, if you have questions, ask them. I will answer them. And then post consistently. Make sure that what you're doing, you do on a consistent and regular basis. It's better to post one blog post a week for the whole year than to post 20 of them in a row 1 month and then nothing else for 6 months. Consistency is one of the biggest keys to growing your audience as well as impacting your SEO rankings. So be consistent. And then finally, brand what you do. You want to make sure that people know who you are and know that it's your content they're seeing or your event that they're part of, and just help them understand who it is. Make sure that when they look at it, they know, oh, that's coming from Etched Marketing. That's coming from Joe's business. That's coming from Bob. Whatever it is, you want to make sure that they can look at it quickly and know who you are because your branding is consistent. That's it for today. I do hope you will join me again in March. So we'll do it at the end of February and we'll go through some ideas for the month of March. And then each week I will have a live marketing training session. We're going to go with Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Pacific next week. So join me here and we will talk more marketing tips and how you can grow your business. Thanks so much. Have a great day. I'll talk to you soon.